And he calls it the fourth industrial revolution or the Great Reset. Oh, it'll be a great reset. It's called taking over the planet. And they want to implement, go figure, a one world government, a one world economy that will be biometrically controlled with people's body parts.
This is Prophecy Watchers Radio, watching and waiting for our blessed hope, with exciting Bible insights you likely won't hear about in church, with your hosts, Mondo Gonzalez and Gary Stearman.
Hello, I'm Gary Stearman of Prophecy Watchers, and I have a guest with me today. Actually, he's a friend, and we talk occasionally, and it's always enlightening when we talk. Billy Crone, we've got a lot to talk about.
Yeah, there's always a lot going on, isn't there?
There is, yeah. And your books, by the way, which are really a good read. I'm holding one right now called Klaus Schwab, the World Economic Forum, and the Coming Mark of the Beast. Now, that's some title.
Oh, yeah.
But you look at the news today, look at the global news, you can see all this coming to pass.
Yeah, it is. And again, what is it to come to pass? It's what the Bible's been warned about for 2,000 years ago. That think about the specifics that are mentioned in the book of Revelation, specifically the 7-year tribulation, that there's going to come a point in time when you're going to have two figures arise on the global scene, an antichrist and a false prophet. And Revelation 13, they're going to put together a system that's going to micromanage the planet, including economically, including down to the level of controlling, monitoring. Everybody's buying and selling on a global basis. You're like, how in the world is that going to happen? And good thing we see no signs of that ever happening soon. Are you kidding me? And that's the whole point with this resource, Gary, is we are now seeing not just the technology, we're seeing the players on the world scene admittedly building that system right now.
And what we're seeing today is a world coming together electronically.
Yeah.
It amazes me how often I see people driving down the road with their communications device. They're talking to each other while driving on the highway, which, by the way, I would not recommend.
Yeah.
But what that suggests to me is the global communication system that's talked about in Revelation is here already. Yeah. And it's backed by some very high-tech stuff.
Exactly. And ultimately, the Bible is the only book on the planet that tells us exactly the game plan, where it's headed. So we don't have to wonder, we don't have to guess. And again, as you rightly mentioned, we not only have a global communications system already in place, even down to where it's mobile, which is a new term, mobile phones, but that's all part of this interconnected system that ultimately, we're not there yet, but ultimately it's going to lead to what's called the Mark of the Beast.
Now, let's talk about this man, Klaus Schwab, and the World Economic Forum.
Yeah.
I suppose a lot of people now are becoming aware of him and of the people that he works with and some of their motives. Give us a background on that.
Yeah, basically, Klaus Schwab, of course, he comes out of Hitler's Germany. His dad, Eugene, worked for the Nazis, aided the Nazis, and this is the world that Klaus grew up in. Later, he takes over this factory that his dad owned that helped the Germans. Klaus takes it over, and eventually he becomes his own businessman. He comes over to America, works with Harvard and some of the other elites and stuff. But he started in 1971 an economic think tank called the World Economic Forum. Basically, in a nutshell, the title tells you everything you need to know, World Economic Forum. And so these guys have been working since 1971, over 50 years, Gary, to bring about a world economic system that they will control for their purposes. Basically, in a nutshell, if you want to know what Klaus and the gang is up to, take everything that Hitler wanted to do that only made it as far as Germany, and they're now going to bring it to the world.
Scary.
It is.
Now, I hear another term, and I'd like for you to explain to our audience what this really means. Mm-hmm. The Great Reset. What does that mean?
Well, you can't say, hey, it's the rise of the Fourth Reich. That would freak people out. That's really what it is, right? He came out of Hitler's Germany, and all the things that Hitler wanted to do with the Third Reich, Klaus is doing. He's now relabeled it because you can't call it what it is. You know, it's too obvious, the Fourth Reich. And he calls it the Fourth Industrial Revolution or the Great Reset. Oh, it'll be a great reset. It's called taking over the planet. And they want to implement, go figure, a one world government, a one world economy that will be biometrically controlled with people's body parts. What's that sound like?
Wow. Now, all my life, I've been hearing about the Antichrist. And people, bandy that term about hither, thither, and yon. And I know you've heard all of the contexts of the Antichrist. My Bible is open to chapter 13 of Revelation, and here's someone called the beast out of the earth.
Mm-hmm.
And he has a mark and a number, and I think everybody has heard about that.
Right.
Particularly if you're a Christian, you've heard about it. How does that fit with what you're talking about, with the Great Reset?
Well, again, the Bible talks about, like you said, a mark of the beast system that tells us details about this mark of the beast system, that people will be marked specifically in their right hand or their forehead, your two biometric, dare I say, that's what they are, biometric options to make financial transactions, i.e. you're buying and selling. And so do we see any signs of people building that system? Yes, and that's what we expose in this resource. Klaus Schwab, the World Economic Forum, and the global elites that are working for him.
I just have to ask, are we that close?
Yes.
To something this big? And I'm thinking of those people who might be listening to us right now and saying, oh, no, you guys have gone too far. This can't really be happening. And I think that's our human reaction to this. And you come along with your book, Klaus Schwab, the World Economic Forum, and the coming mark of the beast, and you say, okay, it's here. Wow. Now, that's significant.
Right. And part of what we do, and the format that we do, it's, believe you me, a lot more work. But we need to, because it's such a wild concept, or people have a tendency, as you mentioned, a human nature that says, no, that just can't be true.
Right.
Or dare I say, you have people that naturally scoff. Oh, you guys are a bunch of wackos now. The format that we share, Gary, is we go straight to the, quote, proverbial horse's mouth. We share, you can also get the DVDs of this, but we translate the DVDs, the video segments we share, straight from the World Economic Forum, straight from interviews from Klaus himself, straight from the global elites who are working for him, the cronies, the politicians that he has planted over the last 50 years in every major developed country who are going to pull off this mark of the beast system, including our own country, including Joe Biden. We actually have him on tape at the World Economic Forum several years ago. Klaus Schwab introduces him. You can see it on tape. It's transcribed in the book. Klaus actually says of Joe Biden, he's his favorite disciple. He's been there for decades, helping to further agenda. What's the agenda? To create a global economy that will make a cashless society, which is what you need for a mark of the beast system, that will then be biometrically tied into every person on the planet, controlling every economic buying and selling. What's that? That's the mark of the beast. The Bible's the only book on the planet that describes it for what it is. These guys can relabel it the Great Reset, the Fourth Industrial Revolution, all they want, but the Bible says that's the Antichrist system in the 7-year tribulation, and you don't want to have any part of that.
Now, Christians have been talking for decades about the cashless society.
Yeah.
People controlling you at the cash level because you no longer carry paper dollars in your pocket. But we are now hearing more and more, Billy, about electronic currency replacing the standard currency, and even on a global level.
Yeah, because there is a global plan. People say, it's a conspiracy theory. No, there is a global plan. There is no conspiracy. And what they do is it's called soft disclosure, psychological warfare. They ease you into where they're going to ultimately lead you. And again, the Bible ultimately is the only book on the planet that tells you ultimately where they're headed. And it's not a good scenario. So they piecemeal it out to us. So for years and for decades, Gary, they've gotten us used to, if you didn't have money, what'd you do? You wrote a check. Well, hardly anybody ever writes a check anymore. They'll use electronic microchip, ATM card, credit card.
Yeah.
Well, then they created years ago what's called a smart card, and it combines all that, including with your identity and all that stuff. And then the latest thing is what? You might lose that card. Wouldn't that be horrible? Now you can't buy and sell. You don't have your electronic chip card. Well, now they're putting chips in people's, and of all places, guess where? In the back of the hand, right? And
let's see, where have I read about that?
Exactly,
yes, Book of Revelation.
Right, and so you can see the progression if you read the Bible. The problem is most people don't, and most churches today don't even teach on these topics. So even, dare I say, many Christians, they're being blindsided by this because they don't have a biblical reference. But you can see where this is headed. It's going to not just a cashless society, which we're already basically there, Gary, and I'll admit, I rarely ever carry cash with me, right? And so we've been conditioned as a society, I don't need cash anymore. But I'm telling you, the next switch, then they've been working on that for decades, and we're here. We're already basically at a cashless society. But the next step is you have to get people to take that microchip that's now in your cashless card, and you need to put it into your body. That is already here.
There's to crash the economy so that change can come in a rather catastrophic way.
Right, because that's the modus operandi, right? It's you create a crisis so you can manage the outcome.
Yeah.
So they've got us to this point where we're already conditioned to become a cashless society, which is what you need for the mark of the beast, which is what you need to control the whole global system, which is the stated goal on tape by these guys. But at some point, you're going to have to get rid of cash, period, and force people to go down into what's called a digital economy. That's already happening, Gary, all over the planet, including the United States of America. Joe Biden has already signed the executive order to switch to what's called the digital dollar. Some people are calling it Biden bucks. Just waiting for the right crisis to come along to flip the switch. The paperwork, the legwork, the executive order, it's already there. They're just waiting for the excuse, the crisis to come along and say, see, now we're going to completely get rid of cash. And at that point, it's game over because there's no anonymity. They're going to know everything, and not just know everything that you buy and sell. They will control what you buy and sell. And many people, when we switch to a cashless society, people say, well, I'm still going to go to the store. They can't tell me not to buy meat, and they can't tell me, really? They'll shut your money off, and they can do that because it's all digital now.
We've been talking to Billy Crone about Klaus Schwab, the World Economic Forum, and the Mark of the Beast. And we're going to continue in just a moment.
Just ahead here on Prophecy Watchers Radio.
Which, by the way, the reason why that sounds familiar, because that's what the Bible calls, they can call it the New World Order, Great Reset, Fourth Industrial Revolution, all you want. The Bible calls that the Antichrist kingdom in the 7-year tribulation.
Remember, if you're unable to stay tuned, you can listen anywhere on demand at prophecywatchers.com. Prophecy Watchers Radio continues right after this.
Ancient Bible prophecies are coming to pass right before our eyes. Our newly expanded 48-page color magazine, The Prophecy Watcher, takes you on a deep dive into the world of the prophets, with cutting-edge writers and prophecy experts exploring topics like the rapture of the church, the Antichrist, the tribulation, artificial intelligence, and the Great Global Reset. For a gift of $50 or more, you can get this incredible resource delivered to your home for the next 12 months. Available in print or digital format. And for a limited time, we'll include 10 Bible prophecy DVDs as a special bonus, covering exciting subjects like biblical astronomy, your future home in heaven, the apocryphal Book of Enoch, and more. Stand with us today by calling us toll-free 888-505-7030. 888-505-7030, or visit us online at prophecywatchers.com.
If you're paying attention to the signs of the times and the ancient prophecies of the Bible, you can see the handwriting on the wall. The system of the beast, the Antichrist system, has arrived. Billy Crone has done extensive research exposing the hidden agenda of the New World Order crowd in his new explosive book and DVD set, Klaus Schwab, the World Economic Forum, and the Coming Mark of the Beast. Get the 500-page book that was banned by Billy's former publisher for your gift of $30 or more. Or order a set of 6 DVDs for your gift of $50 or more, with shipping included anywhere in the USA. Both books are available in the World Economic Forum package for your gift of $75 or more. Call us 24/7 at 888-505-7030 or visit our online bookstore at prophecywatchersradio.com. That's 888-505-7030. Thank you for supporting the work of the Prophecy Watchers.
Talking today with pastor, teacher, author Billy Crone. Billy, always good to talk to you.
Gary, thanks for having me on. It's always great.
Now, for years, literally years, I've heard people use this term, New World Order. And, okay, where's the New World Order as we now look at it?
Well, once you understand what that term means, the bad news is the whole infrastructure is already here. And basically, in a nutshell, the New World Order system, when they talk about a New World Order, here's what comes with this New World Order. It's basically going to become a one world government, a one world economy. There's going to be a one world religion, and there's going to be a biometrically controlled cashless society that will tie every individual into the planet, into that system.
You caught my attention. Biometrically controlled.
Mhm.
Let's go into detail on that.
Yeah, because it just so happens they're not only pushing for this one world economy and, of course, the one world government, one world religion, which, by the way, the reason why that sounds familiar, because that's what the Bible calls, they can call it the New World Order, Great Reset, Fourth Industrial Revolution, all you want. The Bible calls that the Antichrist kingdom in the 7-year tribulation. You don't want to be a part of that. But basically, when it comes to the one world economy, the Bible says it's going to lead to what the Bible calls the mark of the beast system. And the way that they're going to tie the world into that economic system that will control all buying and selling is with body parts, specifically the right hand or the forehead. We don't say, I'm paying with a body part. The buzzword, the term that's used in the industry, which is the same thing, is called biologics, body part, biometric. So basically, people are already not just being used to biometrics for information, for identity purposes, for starting your car, opening up businesses, unlocking locks. Yeah, it's been around for a while. They're also now using that same biometric body part system to make payments, not just the hand, also including with the head. In fact, one of them that we bring out, we actually share the commercial on the DVDs, and it just shows people walking into a gas station, and it goes, and it shows a little laser beam scanning the person's head, unlocks their account, they're able to buy gas. It shows these two young hip folks going into this clothing store, and as soon as they walk into the store, a beam scans their heads, identifies them in the system, they can buy and sell with their head.
Now, a lot of people would think, hey, this is really great,
Yeah.
No trouble, no pain.
Yeah.
Just, I can get whatever I want, just walk in, get gasoline, go to the drugstore, whatever it is.
Yep.
Wow, this is great.
Yeah.
But that's not what I think.
No, see, it's always pitched as a convenience, but what they don't tell you, it's really about control. It's all going to control people.
Tracking you.
And then because everything becomes biometric and electronic, including currency, all of that can be controlled. It's convenient because you can just pay with your hand or just walk in somewhere, they'll scan your head. But they don't tell you purposely that what comes with that convenience is they will literally micromanage everything you do, and they will have the power and the ability to shut you out of that system if you don't do what they say to do.
And what you're saying is that we now have the technology to do what it says in Revelation 13:16. He causes all, small or great, rich or poor, free or bond, to receive a mark in their right hand or their foreheads.
Right.
We've read that since we were teenagers.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
And okay, that's going to happen someday. But we never really thought about it as something real. And you're talking about it as though, hey, wait a minute, this is here right now.
Yeah, exactly. And the control factor, of course, they're not going to use the biblical term. Hey, we're building the mark of the beast system. People would freak out. That's too obvious. And again, they can call it the Fourth Industrial Revolution, the Great Reset, all they want. Oh, it'll be a great reset. The Bible calls it, will be the Antichrist kingdom that you don't want to be a part of. But basically, they're not going to pitch it as the mark of the beast. Of course not. That's a buzzword. People know that.
It is.
So what they do is they pitch convenience, but they have their own labels. And one of the labels that they have is it'll be the new social credit score system. Or here in America, how it's being pitched, because the social credit score system, that's out of China, which is already in this system, it's getting some negative press. So they don't use that same term here in America. It's not stopping the development in China and other countries, but they've changed the term. They don't call it social credit score system here. It's called the ESG scoring system. And as one guy said, it doesn't stand for extra special good.
You got that right.
Yeah, it stands for environmental, social, and government. That's the three pillars. And you think, well, what's that all about? So basically, this is their plan. They want to digitize the economy, which again is admitted, we talked about prior. Joe Biden has already, this is why he was brought in by Klaus Schwab. He's a puppet of Klaus Schwab, to destroy America's economy on purpose, to create the crisis to switch to a digital economy. He's already signed the executive order. They're calling it the digital dollar, or some call it the Biden bucks. But it's all digital. But it isn't just digital. It's tied into this ESG system. The ESG system is now they will not just control your digital dollar, because it's digital, they can control it. they will determine whether you could use that digital dollar based on their social dynamic. That, are you an environmentalist? Are you going to go along with the Green New Deal? If you don't, you get punished. Are you going along with their new social program? And things of that nature, their system of morality. And if you object to that, you're going to get punished. Are you going to go along with what the government says, right? Environmental, social, government. And if you don't, they will shut you off and or limit you. And that includes, if you speak of anything against any of these three, ESG, the environmental, social, government, which they will be monitoring you through social media, your communications, your connections, your buying and selling. And if you don't line up to their new system of morality and belief, then they will literally shut your money off.
And they've been dramatizing it with global warming.
Yep.
So, hey, you got to be scared because global warming is coming. And if you don't give up your conveniences, the globe will heat up,
right,
and we'll all die.
Yeah.
I mean, they're putting a dramatic twist on it.
Right. And again, you hear people out there, and they don't, again, I'm glad we're doing this broadcast and letting people and getting this resource out, because they need to know what the end game is. You hear people say all the time, oh, yeah, let the government tell me what to eat. Oh, yeah, let the government tell me, which, by the way, is part of the plan, that we're going to eat less meat. You say, well, I'm not, ain't going to tell me what. Really? Their plan is you're only going to be able to buy so many outfits per month. Oh, yeah, let the government tell me what I'm going to. Their plan is you're not going to make it outside of a 15-minute radius of where you live. Oh, yeah, let them tell me where I'm going to drive. Well, here's how they're going to control you. Again, if they're going to monitor you through this ESG system, basically reward or punish you economically on this new system if you don't line up. So if, let's say you attend a rally that's pro-America, pro-American sovereignty, and that's against the new Green Deal and all this environmental stuff, then you'll get an alert on your phone. You just lost half of your savings account. And they can do that because it's all digital, and you have no power to say nothing. You go to the grocery store, you already bought your one piece of meat for the month that they said that they now would determine. So I'm going to go to the store and get whatever I want. You go to the store, you got your digital money, but when you go to use your digital money, the transfer won't go through. Beep, beep. An alert came up. You have to wait till next month. This is the system that they're coming. And the Bible is the only book on the planet that calls it for what it is. It's the Antichrist system. It's called the Mark of the Beast system. And you don't want to have any part of it. But these guys, they've changed the terminology, and this is what they're instituting.
And, I think a lot of people, Billy, have been watching what's going on today, and they're looking, for example, at our southern border. Mm-hmm. Why is our leadership allowing the system to crash like this? And this is not the only place it's crashing. Right. It's crashing in many places. Right. And your thesis is that, well, it's being deliberately done.
Correct.
To make the big change. Again, the World Economic Forum is preparing for a global change.
Yeah, exactly. And again, we demonstrate that Joe Biden was handpicked and trained by Klaus Schwab. We have it on tape, Gary, that he is his puppet. That's why he was brought in for such a time as this, to deliberately crash the system. He's not just making dumb decisions economically, he's making them deliberate to crash the system. Why? Because if your goal is to have a new global currency, you have to get rid of the current global currency, which is the American dollar. So if your goal is to reset it to a new digital one, what do you have to do? You have to take America down, specifically America's economy, as the excuse to rise up out of the ashes of that with a new one. This is the game plan, and Biden was brought in to do the dirty deed.
We're talking to pastor, teacher, writer, Billy Crone, and the book, Klaus Schwab, The World Economic Forum, Becoming Mark of the Beast. Billy, all I can say is keep up the good work. It's a blessing to those of us who really need to know about what's going on.
Amen. Again, if the whole point for you and I, the Christian, is these are events that happen in the 7-year tribulation. We're not going to be there, praise God. But if we love anybody who's not saved with any ounce of love and compassion, this should urge us to be the greatest evangelists this generation has ever seen.
Thanks, Billy. I'm Gary Stearman. Thanks for listening.
The media ministry of Prophecy Watchers exists only through the faithful prayer and financial support of friends like you. It's in times like these we're reminded just how essential this gospel-centered Bible ministry truly is. So, won't you do what you can to keep this teaching on the air? You can make your gift by calling 888-505-7030. That's 888-505-7030. Or another easy, secure way to give is online at prophecywatchers.com. That's where you'll also find out about that special offer on our popular print and online magazine, The Prophecy Watcher. Or you can mail a check to Prophecy Watchers, P.O. Box 20530, Oklahoma City, Oklahoma 73156. Thank you for your prayers and gifts, and for listening to Prophecy Watchers Radio.